Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with Ron Placone and the Miserable Liberal.
Howdy, howdy.
I'm miserable.
Yay. So you know the critique of the Democratic Party since 1992 has been that the Democratic Party, under the tutelage of Bill Clinton and Al Gore, decided to get in bed with the Koch brothers, decided to turn their back on workers, African Americans, and the usual base of the Democratic Party. And what happens when both parties represent management is we get Donald Trump because people are desperate and want to smash the system. What also happens when the Democrats become the party of Wall Street, military-industrial complex, big pharma, and fossil fuel companies is that now we have the biggest income disparity since the medieval times. That's what's happening in America right now. Unbelievable. 30 million people still don't have health care. 63% of Americans can't afford a $1,000 emergency. 50% of Americans are poor or low income. And 50% of all wage earners earn less than $30,000 in the United States. The richest country in the world renders a quarter of its kids in poverty. Half the country, poor or low income. What do you call a system that takes the richest country in the world and does that? You call that a failed frickin' system. And the Democrats did it voluntarily. So Bill Clinton deregulated Wall Street, which made an economic crash inevitable, and it happened within a decade after he deregulated Wall Street. Got rid of FDR's banking regulations. At the same time, he gutted welfare, called black kids super predators, exploded the prison population, and passed NAFTA, which cut the legs out from underneath the unions in America. And consequently, George Bush won the election in 2000, and Barack Obama won, and then the Democrats got wiped out at every level of government, to the point where now they ran another neoliberal who was promising more screwing of the working class. TPP, Barack Obama was trying to pass the TPP at the same time. Hillary Clinton is trying to get working class people to vote for her. That was the dumbest thing in the history of politics. They did it, and they lost to a political novice. Donald Trump. And then they blamed another country instead of themselves. So we all know that's the problem with the Democratic Party, that the Democratic Party then became the party of war. They are the party of war. They are the party of Wall Street. They are the party of big pharma, big insurance, and fossil fuels. Barack Obama opened up the Arctic to drilling twice. And the reason why we have pipelines underneath this country is because Barack Obama repealed the legislation that said you couldn't export fossil fuels. Barack Obama. This is the Democrats' failure. The reason why we're in the situation we are in is because the Democratic Party is no longer an opposition party. They are the party of war and military-industrial complex and Wall Street. It's over. And that's why the country's in shambles. And that's why we're spending $700 billion a year on a military while 30 million people still don't have health care in America. And we're swimming in mountains of school debt. So that's where we're at. That's the critique of the Democratic Party. It has failed. And a lot of people have said this critique right to Barack Obama's face. Like, here's Harry Belafonte. He's quoting Martin Luther King. Harry is quoting Martin Luther King.
The last thing Dr. King said to me before he was murdered, Martin said, I sit here deeply concerned that I suspect we are leading our nation on an integration trip that has us integrating into a burning house. Most of the politicians I know of make promises only to walk into the places of power and then deny us. I guess part of the reason I'm here is to really look through the ravages of the Democratic Party and see if anything is really worth salvaging.
He said that right in Barack Obama's face and Hillary Clinton's face. Right in their faces, he said that. That's Harry Belafonte saying it in front of a room full of African Americans, quoting Martin Luther King. Here's Bernie Sanders speaking in Mississippi on the anniversary of Martin Luther King's death. And here's what he had to say.
The business model, if you like, of the Democratic Party for the last 15 years or so has been a failure. Now, what happened, people sometimes don't see that because they're...
So there he is at a commemoration of the anniversary of Martin Luther King's death. He says that in front of a room, I'm going to guess a room full of African Americans, and they applaud. And they applaud. There's three African Americans on stage with him, and the audience applauds. So here we go.
15 years or so has been a failure. Now, what happened, people sometimes don't see that because there was a charismatic individual named Barack Obama who won the presidency in 2008, 2012. And he was obviously an extraordinary candidate, brilliant guy.
Barack Obama is an extraordinary candidate, a brilliant guy, and a charismatic leader. Those are the three things he just said about Barack Obama, while he's criticizing the business model of the Democratic Party. The business model of the Democratic Party, you know what that is, right? They can't show up to a knife fight with a spoon. You know that. So their business model is to get in bed with business. Corporations, Wall Street, military-industrial complex, big pharma, and fossil fuel companies, right? So that's their business model, and it's been a failure. Complete failure. They just lost to a political novice. They are wiped out at every level of government, 1,000-seat state, nationwide in state houses. They're wiped out in the House. They're wiped out in the Senate. They've lost everything to people, by the way, the Republicans who offer them nothing. That's how bad the Democratic business model has been, that they're losing to politicians who offer working class people nothing. Except taking away their health care, tax breaks for the rich, and more spending on wars. That's what they're offering. And the Democrats can't beat them. So here we go. I'll give you a little bit more of this.
But behind that reality, over the last 10 years, Democrats have lost about 1,000 seats in state legislatures all across this country. And you got significant numbers of states, like Mississippi, where the governor, the legislature, the senators are all Republicans. Okay? Now, how does this happen at a time when the Republican agenda is the agenda of the billionaire class and is at war with working people? How does it happen that a party that wants to give tax breaks to billionaires and throw millions of people off their health insurance, they have actually wins elections? So one of the things that we have got to do, as I mentioned earlier, is make sure that the Democrats, you don't win elections unless you show up.
So there he is, laying it down, talking plain truths, and not giving you platitudes, but speaking in reality. And diagnosing the problem with the Democratic Party, at the same time going out of his way to compliment Barack Obama as a brilliant guy and an extraordinary candidate and a charismatic leader. Those are the three things he called Barack Obama. As he critiques and criticizes the business model of the Democratic Party, which objectively has been a failure. Objectively, no one would say it's been they lost to George Bush, and then after 8 years of Barack Obama, they lose to Donald Trump. That's a sign of a failure. Plus, they're wiped out at every other level of government. So now that Bernie has said that, the corporate Democrats go into smear mode. Right away, they go into smear mode, because what that says is we have to change the business model of the Democratic Party, and immediately the donors call their bought news commentators, and they say, you better smear him, and smear him good now. Because people want real change. He's the most popular guy in the country, and we have got to smear him. I told you, people don't ever attack people's ideas. If you're to the left of someone, we've seen it happen to this show. People continue to smear us because they don't want to engage our ideas. So they first have to smear you dishonestly, and that's what people are doing to Bernie. They have to. They can't. You can't go against his ideas. His idea is Medicare for all. Everybody's for it in the country. His idea is free college. Everybody's for it in the country. His idea, stop the war in Yemen. Everybody's for it in this country. His idea, break up the banks, tax Wall Street. Everybody's for that in this country. So they can't go after his ideas. So they've got to misrepresent what he's saying and smear him and cue the bot. What's a good word for the people who the puppets? The billionaire class's puppets, cue the billionaire class's puppets in the media to smear Bernie. So here's our friend Joy Reid, one of the scummiest people in all of news, and everyone knows it by now. For the record, Barack Obama is quite... By the way, Joy Reid, who called Hillary Clinton a racist in 2008, when it was convenient for her. Just so you know. For the record, Barack Obama is quite a bit more than just a charismatic leader, and the past decade saw genuine progress, particularly on healthcare and LGBT rights. The fierce backlash against the Obama era doesn't negate it, and MLK died to make that progress possible. MLK did not die so Barack Obama could make the banks bigger, expand from 2 wars to 7, get rid of habeas corpus, expand the surveillance state. It was change on the outside because it's a black guy, but it was continuity on the inside. He made the Bush tax cuts permanent. He opened the Arctic to drilling twice. You know the route. I just gave it to you. He didn't bail out Main Street. We didn't put on that soft shoe and help the teachers. He didn't do anything for Occupy Wall. He did the exact... It was just like we elected Mitt Romney. We got Romney Care anyway. And we didn't get a public option, which Barack Obama promised he would give to us, and he didn't. And he could have given it to us with a 50 vote because that's how they passed the health care anyway. Here's someone named Victoria Brownworth. Bernie Sanders calling Barack Obama a failure on the 50th anniversary of MLK's assassination is one of the whitest things I've ever seen. I wanted to see what Joan Walsh had to say, but she's blocked me. you know corporate shill and scum of the earth Joan Walsh. Boy, she is such a despicable person.
Here, I'm going to see if I can find it.
Go find it. You tell me what she said. And here's a guy who's a CNN contributor, Bakari Sellers. He's got a blue check, so you know he's important. He says, y'all can defend Bernie all you want. Again, remember, Bernie, the most popular politician in the country, even with African Americans. Y'all can defend Bernie all you want. On MLK's 50th, his lack of self-awareness and arrogance in dismissing 44 is wild. Bernie 2020 died on April 4th. Boy, do they want that to happen. Oh, does this corporate tool want that to happen? I'm going to guess Bakari Sellers has been dismissing and saying Bernie's campaign has been dead since he started in 2015. I'm going to say that's how long this guy's been saying it. He's been saying it every other day and probably twice on Sunday.
So all Joan Walsh has done is she retweeted Lisa Tozzi, who tweeted, at an MLK event, Bernie Sanders said that Obama's charisma obscured Democratic failures over the last decade, a critique that ignited a sharp rebuke from black Democrats who say he hasn't learned the lessons of 2016. Then there's a BuzzFeed article.
You mean black Democrats like Harry Belafonte, black Democrats like Cornel West and Tavis Smiley, like Nina Turner? You mean those black Democrats? Or do you mean bought and sold pieces of garbage who are corrupt and smear left? You mean those kind of people, Joan? I bet that's what you mean. People like you, Joan, who don't have a moral center. Joan Walsh, no moral compass, no moral center, advocates against the people. She's a corporatist shill. Joan Walsh. Go ahead.
And how authoritarian of all these people that here Bernie Sanders is calling into question what progress we have made.
Right.
And how many people of color who tried to buy a home during that time period, how many of them lost their homes because of Barack Obama
the people who got hurt,
indulging Wall Street?
The people who got hurt the most in the economic crash engineered by Bill Clinton and Al Gore, the people who got hurt the worst were black and brown people. Okay. So that's what exploded the prison population. Who did that? The Democrats.
And his educational program, Race to the Top, what a joke. And
Yes.
I want to see President Obama, I want to see him out there with the Oklahoma teachers because he missed his opportunity several times
Where
over
is
the
Barack
last
Obama?
decade.
He didn't go to Wisconsin to put on the soft shoe with those teachers. He didn't go to West Virginia to put on the soft shoe with those teachers. He didn't go to Kentucky to put on the soft shoe with those teachers. And he didn't go to Oklahoma to put on the soft shoe with those teachers. Barack Obama's a fucking liar, okay? Barack Obama is a corporatist neoliberal who doesn't give a fuck about the workers. He's in bed with he's out windsurfing with Branson, and then when he comes back from that, he gives $500,000 speeches to the banks who have been screwing over America for the last fucking 20 years. That's who Barack Obama is.
Jimmy,
and that's who the goddamn Democrats are. Get in your fucking head. They're not your friend.
Did he go and help Dapple?
He didn't
help the water
No,
protectors?
he didn't help Dapple. He didn't do shit. Barack Obama, you don't have to. You know he's a buffoon. He's a goddamn neoliberal corporatist shill buffoon.
And Joanne,
read, listen, liberal, and you'll feel like I feel. Go ahead.
Well, Joanne Reed wants us to believe that charisma equates morality.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
It doesn't. You want to know how black people really feel about Barack Obama? Here's how black people really feel about Barack Obama.
Welcome, Senator Sanders.
If you line up Martin Luther King's social policy, there's only one candidate who lines up.
Sanders is the symbol for all that is right in this country.
He's an honest guy, and he's one of the main people I think that really has a platform to really tell the truth to the people.
Bernie Sanders is bringing up a lot of issues that need to be dealt with.
The corporate media's been unfair to him.
We have some special guests joining us this morning. Senator Bernie Sanders and rapper and friend to the room, Killer Mike.
Hey, Mike's like his #1 shooter.
If you work 40 hours a week, you should not be in poverty. That's why I'm here.
People are scared to go to the doctor because the bill will be so expensive.
We as a nation have a moral obligation to have universal health care. He is a champion for civil rights.
Ending a bullshit drug war. Making sure our children can go to college.
And ladies, we want our whole damn dollar.
When you have an opportunity to tell two black girls to shut up and get off stage and you don't, and you shake their hand and you smile and you step to the side and you listen, that is a firm difference from turning around and staring at a little black girl and saying, shut up, I'll talk to you later.
I want to know how you feel about somebody calling you their firewall. You have to earn the black vote. You don't own the black vote.
If I can find a picture of you from 51 years ago, chained to a black woman, protesting segregation, and I know 51 years later, you're willing to fold your arm, hold your head, and listen to two black girls yell and scream, rightfully so.
My life matters!
As opposed to someone who will tell you to shut up. As opposed to someone who will tell you later when it comes to your children dying in the streets.
Erica Garner, the daughter of Eric Garner, who died in a police chokehold, is supporting Sanders.
Cornel West hitting the campaign trail for Senator Bernie Sanders.
The only one running without a super PAC. The only one that ain't got all them big billions of dollars behind him.
Bernie Sanders is not just talking about it. He walks the walk. If we can abolish slavery in this nation, if women can get the right to vote, universal health care can happen.
Spike Lee is throwing his support behind the Vermont senator.
Tuition-free college can happen.
I'm not here to talk about a dream that we think is unattainable, so we settle for less.
This is no time to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism.
The cause is right, and the time is now.
That's why I've endorsed Bernie Sanders.
So I'll just say this to Joan Walsh's and the bakakakas on CNN and the asswipes of Joanne Reed. We see through your bullshit. And you're afraid of progress, and you're corporate tool shill liars, and you're smear merchants. And I don't have to talk nice because I don't give a damn about some corporate overlord giving me a check like all of you are doing. And you're despicable. That's despicable. You're smearing a guy like that, a guy who sticks his neck out for the people. And who do you do it in favor of? Someone like Hillary Clinton? The corporatists? The people who have wrecked this country? That's who you're sticking up for. And we're calling you out, and that's why we're here. Go ahead. Anything left to say over here?
Well, we can't forget the pressing issue, though, that Bernie Sanders mentioned Barack Obama and in the same speech used the word failure at a totally different segment.
So there he is in Mississippi getting it done, getting applause in front of that crowd there to honor Martin Luther King. And then, of course, some people have to pretend, some corporate shills, some bought, gutless news pundits for hire, then have to smear the progressive. So that's all you need to know. You already knew all those people. I didn't know that one guy. I didn't know who this guy was. Bakari Sellers. Maybe that's Peter Sellers' kid or something. Who knows? Because it's funny. It's funny how stupid he is. Bernie Sanders died on 29. It is funny. And of course, CNN brings him on. And why do they bring on Bakari Sellers? Because he's smart, because he's insightful. They bring him on because he does the bidding of the corporations that the CNN serves. That's why they bring him on. They're never going to bring on somebody that upsets the apple cart. And if they do, they get him off right away. So, yeah. So these are garbage people. That's what these are, right? That's what you would call these people. You call these garbage people who are smearing a guy who stuck his neck out time and time again. 50 years ago, he was chained to a black woman. And he didn't wag his finger at a Black Lives Matter girl like your corporatist warmonger sellout Hillary Clinton. No, he actually did the right thing and welcomed them and gave them a platform. But you still can smear him anyway because Bakari Sellers is a garbage person.
And you know what? I'm pretty confident that when he was tied to that black woman, he didn't say, "Hey, I'm trying to help you out, super predator." I'm pretty sure that didn't happen either.
You know, and let's talk about right now. We have a representative of the people, Doug Jones.
Yeah, right now, Democrat. Democrat who was elected with 93% black women, 93% black men, 97% black women. Go ahead.
Well, the point is that we are at a crossroads, and they don't want the population, the 99%, the struggling class. They don't want us to come together because that's a revolution. And so we have somebody like Bernie Sanders that's highlighting and examining the failures of the Democratic Party. No. We want to keep pretending we're going to represent you, right? Doug Jones doesn't represent you.
But there's lots of lefty shows who'll wag your finger and say you have to vote for Doug Jones. You have to support these people who sell out for no... There's no reason to support the Democratic Party right now. There's no reason. Chuck Schumer screwed you over by allowing... Chuck Schumer just made sure they deregulated Wall Street. The Democrats just made sure they gutted Dodd-Frank. The Democrats just did that. They're your enemy. They're not your friend.
Well, and I think Doug Jones is just such an important example because what do you call a system that gives you two options? One option, someone that's going to do nothing for you.
Right.
The other option, a pedophile. That's a broken system, and the American people deserve a lot better.
Right. And I think, also that they want to make this a black and white issue. Really interesting, right? Oh my gosh, Bernie's trying to speak out on behalf of the underprivileged, the people that are being forgotten, voiceless. And so I'm supposed to worry that President Obama
might get his feelings
hurt. Relax already, all right?
Barack Obama, I bet he heard about that speech Bernie gave while he was also out there helping the teachers, or he was out there at a Medicare for All rally, or Barack Obama was out, or maybe he was getting another $500,000 from a bank who screwed over America. Maybe that's what he was doing.
Well, you know what I think? I think if he doesn't have time to listen to the people of Chicago that want to make sure his center is built responsibly, I'm sure he doesn't have time to listen to Bernie either.
It's amazing to see what's happening. It's amazing to see the corporate shills. And this is how propaganda works, because this is propaganda. And this, he knows he's lying. He knows he's full of it. He knows Bernie Sanders what he did was correct. It was applauded by a room full of African Americans there to celebrate Martin Luther King. He knows that. He knows he's full of it. He knows he doesn't have a moral compass. This guy is money. Pay me money, just like Joyanne Reed, whatever way she's being paid. She used to hate Hillary Clinton. She used to love Bernie Sanders. Joyanne Reed, you know that, right? We've showed you those tweets. These people they have no moral compass. These people are empty shells. These people are, they're grifters. These guys are grifters. They're liars, propagandists, and they'll sell their integrity to the highest bidder, which means they don't have any integrity. And that's who these people are. And you know it, and that's why I have a show, because these people suck that hard. And they do suck that hard. And we see through them. And that's why the Young Turks became popular during the primary. And that's why this show became popular after the primary, because people see through the corporate bullshit media. They see it, and the conduit to see it is Bernie Sanders, because people know who Bernie Sanders is, and they know his record, and they can still smear a guy like that, a guy who was chaining himself to black women in the 60s. They can still smear a guy like that. Yeah. Yes, they can. So, if you know why? Because he's going to bring change. And that's the last thing Tom Perez wants. That's the last thing Joan Walsh wants. That's the last thing they're corporate masters, because that's what they are. They're their Rachel Maddow has a master. And her master is Comcast. Because believe me, Rachel Maddow will never say a goddamn thing that costs Comcast a nickel. Because the second she does, they will fire her ass, just like they did Phil Donahue, and she knows it, which is why she never has Phil Donahue on her show and never even fucking mentions him. That's how gutless and cowardly the MSNBC presenters are. They don't even bring Phil Donahue on. Let alone Thomas Frank, who wrote Listen Liberal. He's persona non grata at MSNBC. And they call themselves progressives. Those people are sellouts. They are empty vessels, and we see through them. And we see through this, and it's not going to... This actually helps. This is the bullshit. This helps Bernie Sanders. So keep doing it. Because people like me see through it. And people like me see through complete shills of human beings. They will sell themselves out to the highest bidder so they can get on TV. And that's what this is. Whatever you want me to say, sir. My name is Bakari Sellers. Would you like me to smear a progressive who actually cares about black people? Or would you want me to pretend that someone who calls people super predators is our savior? Whichever way you want me to go, corporate overlord, I'll do it. My name is Bakari Sellers. If you want us to keep doing this and keep pointing out bullshit like this, you have to make sure you're still subscribed, because you probably aren't. Make sure you're subscribed. It takes a second, and check that bell. Click that bell, because if you don't click the bell, YouTube will not tell you when we drop videos, even though you're subscribed. We're doing a video about that next, about how screwed up YouTube is. And if you can come see our live show, we're going to be there June 30th in Portland, Oregon, was our next live Jimmy Dore show. And if you could become a patron, we have hours of bonus material every week. Thanks for your support. And we're on Steam It. We're steaming it right now.